right? So, again, my name kept coming up. Well, a few months ago, we broke down how Kwadi was part of a 4-block gang in Schenectady, New York, which again were all indicted because of an investigation of 4 teenage girls who all deleted themselves after being initiated and abused by the gang. We went through, again, go look through the other streams. We went through the girls' journals, the journal entries that talked about how they were abused and beaten. That these grown-ass men were trying to be with these little girls, right? To go to like teen bash parties with teenagers. And then when they weren't allowed to go into the party because they were a bunch of grown-ass men, they beat the girl senseless. That the girl went back home and like her ribs were broken. She was beaten to a pulp. Her and her mother were too afraid to call the police because of they were threatened by this gang. We broke all of this down. Oh, but Adept, you're only going through news articles. You're only going through news articles. Okay, this is the official indictment. This is the official indictment. Look at Kwame Robinson, right here, a.k.a. Kwadi. Part of the gang as an original member. Now, what's interesting about this situation is this happened around 2000, I believe, 2010, 2011. Hold up. This was filed 2012, right? But they were under investigation for a few years before that. Now, mind you, what's interesting about Kwadi, while he was still being investigated for conspiracy and everything else that's part of this indictment on him and his gang, he also caught a gun charge. Now, it's interesting that Kwadi is running around telling on everybody now that everything's like falling off and he's been kicked out of the car. He's no longer part of the battle rap supergroup, right? Now he's telling all the secrets. He's telling Caps everything that Harlem said about him, this and that. He's exposing how these niggas was actually paying for interviews. We're gonna get to that in a second. They were paying for interviews. They were doing all of this, doing all of that, right? This person don't fuck with that person. This person don't fuck with that person. He's telling on everybody. Well, that's interesting because remember, we talked about this gun charge that Kwadi picked up while he was still being investigated regarding that indictment on him and his gang, right? So check this out. Gang suspect gets year on gun charge. One of the alleged original members of the 4-block gang, Kwame Robinson, was sentenced Wednesday. Now, mind y'all, we went over the whole indictment. I'm not gonna go over the indictment again in this stream. Go subscribe to HB2N. We went through the entire indictment. What's crazy about Kwadi, he was one of the original members of this gang, but he was still a low-ranking nigga. Like, he got the work from the nigga that got the work, who picked up the work, who was exchanged the work from the white man. Right? Like, Kwadi was at the bottom of the chain of commands, but yet he was an original member of the gang. Keep that in mind right now. Keep that in mind. Kwadi was one of the original members of the gang, but yet he was at the bottom rank by the time this indictment swept through. Like, they actually went over everything that Kwadi used to do. Kwadi used to just pick up the work from the nigga who picked up the work, and he would sell his little quarter, take his little profit, bring the money back to his upper level supervisor, if you will, right? But that's crazy because Kwadi was one of the original members of the gang. So how do you get done dirty like that to where you're one of the founders of the gang, but then you're all the way at the bottom of the chain of commands? I would think somebody would feel some type of way about that, right? Somebody who was actually a founding member of this gang, right? Keep that in mind for a second. So let's go over this. Anyway, one of the alleged original members of the 4-block gang, Kwame Robinson, was sentenced Wednesday. Now, peep this. One of the alleged original members of the 4-block gang, Kwame Robinson, was sentenced Wednesday in Schenectady County Court to a year in jail on a prior plea to second-degree attempted criminal possession of a weapon. Mind you, he took a plea, right? The sentencing had been delayed because Robinson has been a federal inmate since his indictment in May, along with 43 others. So peep this. Peep this. I just want y'all to peep every single detail. Every single detail. The sentencing for this gun charge happened during the time he was already a federal inmate being investigated for everything going on with the 4 Block gang. Mind you, peep this. Keep this in mind, right? Like Robinson, many of those indicted are accused of having been members of the 4 Block gang, which controlled much of the drug dealing in Schenectady's Hamilton Hill neighborhood, committing drive-by shootings to protect turf and feuding with rival gangs. Robinson, 20 years old, formerly of Delamont Avenue, is accused in the federal indictment of being one of 3 4 Block original gangsters. One of the 3 original members. One of the 3 original members. I just want to keep that. I want to keep that in your mind, right? In the case resolved Wednesday, Robinson and 3 other individuals were accused of possessing a gun in a car, along with 7 grams of crack cocaine on August 14, 2010 in Schenectady. Each of the 3 others in the car was also included in the federal indictment. 2 of them, Arsheen Montgomery and Leon Robinson, are the other alleged original 4 Block gang members. In court Wednesday, Robinson agreed to a charge in the plea deal. He had originally agreed to 6 months in jail and 5 years probation. But acting Schenectady County Court Judge Polly Howie said Robinson would have trouble with probation as he had in the past. So he already has been on probation before. He has prior charges, and at this time he was currently a federal inmate regarding the 4 Block gang indictment. Robinson was already on probation for an attempted robbery conviction, one where he received the youthful offender status, but when he was arrested for the gun in the car, Howie noted. Instead, Robinson agreed to a 1-year sentence. So let me tell you something real quick. This dude was caught in a car with an illegal firearm and 7 grams of crack cocaine in New York. The mandatory minimum for a gun charge in New York is a year. That's the mandatory minimum. Now, how the hell did prosecution only recommend 6 months when the mandatory minimum is a year? This dude already has a criminal history with an armed robbery charge, and he's currently a federal inmate. How do you recommend only 6 months? Even the judge was like, wait, hold up, what? Nah, we got to at least do a year. How? Now, when you go through the indictment, right, as we did on HB21's channel regarding the federal case, we got people in there facing 20, 25, 30 years. How does the original member, the original founder of the gang, who has a criminal history, how does he get off like that? Like how? Kwadi Boom. Kwadi Boom. I mean, that's what they're calling him with the way he been telling. After the situation with Too Real for Battle Rap, this dude has been proud to say he's telling on everybody. He got no problem telling. So once he's backed into a corner, he's letting you know he's ready to use that mouth. Come on, dog. You kidding me? You kidding me? Come on, man. How many times do we have to do this? But again, this is Gutter City. This is a Gutter City nigga. How do you get caught with all that crack cocaine and they don't even care about it? They don't even worry about it. Just take the plea for the gun charge, be good, and just give us the other information about your former friends in that indictment, and we'll take care of you. Don't worry. Come on, dog. Come on, dog. I don't gotta say pause. I mean it in both ways how he uses his mouth. Kwadi Boom TV. Oh man, let's go. I'm telling y'all, dog. So let's go back to the. Hold on. All right, so let's go to Angry Fan Show. Let's get a recap of everything that was going on